My coffee shop crush kept getting my order wrong, so I started ordering the weirdest drinks possible. For 2 months straight, Daniel the barista had been absolutely destroying my simple vanilla latte order. Monday, he'd hand me something that tasted like burnt rubber with a dollop of sadness. Tuesday, pure foam in a cup, like he'd forgotten coffee was supposed to be involved. But here's the thing. Daniel had this smile that could power a small city, and these warm brown eyes that made my knees forget how to function properly. So despite getting caffeinated disappointment every single morning, I kept going every day. My best friend Maya watched this tragic routine for weeks before staging an intervention over wine and takeout. "Girl, you're being way too easy on him," she said. "Make him actually work for it. Order something so complicated he has to pay attention." The next morning, I marched up to the counter with newfound confidence. Daniel flashed that devastating smile and I almost chickened out, but Maya's voice echoed in my head as I cleared my throat. "One lavender oat milk cortado with half the sweetener and a dash of vanilla," I announced, trying to sound casual. Daniel's eyes went wide. He stared at me for a solid 10 seconds, then nodded slowly and disappeared behind the espresso machine. 15 minutes later, he emerged looking slightly traumatized but triumphant, sliding a perfect lavender creation across the counter. I took a sip and nearly fell over. It was absolutely flawless. Creamy, aromatic, with just the right hint of floral sweetness. "This is incredible," I said, genuinely shocked. He beamed like I'd just told him he'd won the lottery. The next day, emboldened by success, I upped the ante. Iced brown sugar cinnamon dolce latte with coconut whip and a sprinkle of sea salt. Again, the deer in headlights look. Again, absolute perfection delivered with a side of nervous pride. By week 3, I was having way too much fun. I started ordering drinks that probably didn't exist in any known coffee culture. Each time, Daniel would furrow his brow like he was decoding ancient hieroglyphics, vanish into the back room, and somehow emerge 20 minutes later with exactly what I'd imagined these fantasy drinks would taste like. It was like he had some kind of magical coffee intuition that only activated under pressure. Other customers started gathering to watch my morning drink orders like they were performance art. Ava would take bets on whether Daniel could pull off whatever ridiculous concoction I'd dreamed up. The regular guy who ordered black coffee every day started requesting whatever she's having just to see what would happen. Friday morning rolled around, and I walked in with my usual nervous excitement, ready to challenge Daniel with my latest impossible creation. But before I could open my mouth, he leaned across the counter with that heart-stopping smile. "Let me guess," he said, eyes twinkling with mischief. "Something with cardamom and oat milk that sounds like it belongs in a fairy tale cookbook?" I laughed, caught completely off guard. "Okay, I have to ask. How do you always nail these impossible orders when you spent 2 months turning my simple vanilla latte into a crime against coffee?" His cheeks turned the most adorable shade of pink, and he started fidgeting with his apron strings. "Promise you won't think I'm a complete disaster of a human being?" I nodded, leaning forward conspiratorially. "I can make vanilla lattes just fine," he admitted, voice dropping to an embarrassed whisper. "I've been making them for 3 years, but every time you walked in here with that smile, my brain would just shut down. I'd forget how to function like a normal person. My hands would shake, I'd mix up the syrups, and somehow I'd end up creating these coffee abominations that haunted my dreams." He paused, taking a shaky breath. "But when you started ordering those crazy complicated drinks, I had to actually focus and concentrate so hard that I forgot to be nervous. And turns out, when I'm not having a complete emotional meltdown, I'm actually pretty decent at this job." My heart was doing gymnastics in my chest as he reached under the counter and pulled out the most beautiful vanilla latte I'd ever seen, complete with intricate foam art that looked suspiciously like a phone number. "Maybe," he said, sliding it across with trembling fingers, "we could mess up a dinner order together sometime. Fair warning though, I might actually be able to cook when I'm not panicking about impressing you."